This is kind of not so. Might have to do that again. That's fine.
For us, it was an extremely weird time, and I mean, it was obviously that for business everywhere, but it felt like it was particularly sort of intense because we had to effectively do a 180 on the entirety of the way that we ran our business. So because obviously in lockdown, people can't get into the actual physical store to actually buy their books. So and then with that as well, then we had to get the books out to the customers. So we went from having a very small monthly mail order service to suddenly that exploding to 90% of our customer base, needing to have the books mailed out to them because again, customers weren't allowed in the store.
It's good. Look at that. That's what happens when you have to downsize and you've got to find room for everything else. So that's I guess let's get a
yeah.
That's exactly how I talk. I'm like that meme of the cat that's like at the The program itself was actually built by...
Diamond is a company that has been around they're celebrating, I think, their 40th year now, growing in size over that time to a point where, I think relatively early on in their actual existence, became the sole distributor of effectively all comics worldwide that were being published through major publishers and even obviously smaller publishers. DC Comics leaving Diamond as our major distributor and creating two at the time separate distributors who basically we didn't have an option. We weren't allowed to keep getting the comics through Diamond, which would have been the easier sort of thing. We were literally kind of within the space of a couple of weeks had to effectively start an account. And just this is the new way of doing things. Effectively, DC used the Diamond lockdown as an excuse to pull the pin. Diamond lost Marvel as well, which so lost the two massive companies of distributing comics around the world. Thankfully, unlike DC and Luna, Marvel was still available to be ordered through Diamond. So for us, it was just like, well, it's just easier to keep it under one umbrella.
Less likely to sort of be damaged. I mean, we still have to give these guys a quick once over. We are particularly particular about the condition of sort of the trades and stuff, and we want to make sure that if people are paying a hefty price tag for this stuff.
They both could have learnt from each other. So the DC's approach felt like it felt like it was a closed off conversation that comic book retailers were not part of whatsoever. So being shut out in that way, like they could have even made just a cursory sort of conversation, whether they took that on board or not, doesn't really matter. It's just like if you at least seem like you're having the conversation with retailers about the idea of this massive shake-up, may have made that bitter pill a bit easier to swallow. So they both could have learned from each other in that experience, and we were just we were just in the middle, and had to sort of deal with it, right? So, which was again, while all this stuff was happening with lockdowns and whatnot, was just the level of uncertainty that we were facing on a daily basis. Was just it was stresses that we just didn't need, and a lot of retailers just working harder than they ever had before. So the idea of these other things just sort of popping up left, right, and centre was just like, oh my god, just what's next, right? So the new normal is like, it's just the worst, right? And as things have happened and we've changed the way that we do things, one thing's just become really apparent is that it's just a lot more work to do what we did previously. So while it's funny because there's been lots of reports about sales being quite positive for the last couple of years in a comic, single issues and trade sales, and it's like it's the biggest years that we've had for sales for a couple of years, which is again great. But to get to that point, You know, we've also, you know, as a international store, having to deal with the extra added costs of getting books out here, and just costs in general of obviously having less people sort of coming through. For us, it's kind of just, you know, kind of evened out really, and so what we're doing is like we're working harder than we've ever worked before, and this probably goes for a lot of comic book retailers, but you know, working so much harder than we have previously for the new normal for the same or less money than before. Weirdly, comic book customers are creatures of habit that and extremely loyal for the most part as well. So our customers have been amazing and super supportive the entirety time of COVID, which when there's so much stuff going on for people is kind of just really eye-opening and kind of amazing that, you know, people wouldn't take the opportunity just to kind of maybe step back from it all. And again, you know, it's a luxury industry that, you know, is quite expensive, you know, to kind of keep up, and you know, people stuck through with it, which is, you know, we're eternally thankful for.